Call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Village of Riverside Board of Trustees for Tuesday, June 7th. The time is 7 p.m. Please call the roll.
President Sells.
Here.
Trustee Valerie.
Here.
Trustee Collins.
Here.
Trustee Pollock.
Here.
Trustee Sedeby.
Here.
Village Manager Francis.
Here.
Village Attorney Mars.
Here.
Also present Village Clerk Haley. Not with us this evening, Trustees Hamilton and Lumsden.
Thank you very much. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening. Welcome to everyone who's here and everybody who's watching at home. If you'd like to address the board this evening at any point, I'd ask that you be recognized by the president and that you make your comments from the podium so that people at home can hear and see what you have to say. This is a special meeting called because of a time issue with regard to an ITEP grant application, which we will talk about later. First up is comments, public comment or presentations. Anyone? Moving on, reports of village officers. The only thing that I'd just like to report tonight is keep in mind that our first cruise night is on the 9th, and we hope to see everybody come out for that. And that's all I have this evening. Manager Francis?
I have two quick reminders for residents. One reminder is that the vehicle stickers are now on sale. You can purchase them online, in person, or mail in your application, and village staff will then go ahead and mail back your vehicle stickers. We are open on Saturdays from 9 to 12 as well during the month of June to come in and purchase your vehicle stickers. And then the second reminder is that tomorrow is the farmers market. It is over by the water tower in its new location. I believe last week was very well received by residents. So I would say go and check it out. And that is all I have.
Thank you very much. Next up is approval of consent agenda. Are there any items anyone needs removed for discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Collins.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ballerine. Please call the roll.
Trustee Valerie.
Aye.
Trustee Collins.
Aye.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Sedeby.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is reports of departments, commissions, trustee liaison. Any reports from anyone this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. With the board's permission, I would like to take item B first because we have Mr. Cenovitis and Mr. Barr here with us this evening. This is an ordinance approving a special use for professional offices, construction business at 43 East Quincy Street, Riverside, for Jim Cenovitis doing business as Northwest Construction LLC, or is it just NW? Just NW. NW Construction. It's my sailor hat. Sorry. NW Construction LLC. Zapt, are you going to present this?
We have before you an ordinance approving a special use for professional office for the construction business at 43 East Quincy. The petitioner has a contract on the property at 43 East Quincy and is seeking his special use to operate his construction business out of that location. The zoning ordinance allows professional offices as a special use only in the B2 mixed use periphery, which is the zoning for this property. The building is approximately 4,200 square feet and has an off-street parking lot on site that contains 7 parking spaces. It does not contain any handicap accessible spaces, and one is required for the building, and so they will need to add one of those. The required parking for the building is also 3 parking spaces per our zoning ordinance. The company is proposing to remodel the interior of the building. They have 9 employees, and they have stated that they may store some company vehicles overnight in the parking lot. However, there will not be any storage of construction materials on the site. Outdoor storage of materials is not permitted per our zoning ordinance. At the public hearing that was held by the Planning and Zoning Commission on May 25th, he stated that they may grow to 15 to 20 employees over the next 5 years. The commissioners did have several questions, including whether there be any large or heavy equipment parked on the site, if they were proposing any sort of screening or fencing from the neighboring properties, and what their hours of operation would be. The petitioner has indicated that the hours of operation would be from 7 to 6, that they would not be storing any heavy equipment on the site because they have a separate storage yard for their construction equipment. However, he did note that they may occasionally need to leave a bobcat on the site. That would be the largest equipment that they would house on site. He also noted that their crews report online and not on the site, so there will not be any sort of early morning reporting of their construction workers at the site, like say 6 a.m. or anything like that. He also noted that they do load their equipment the day before, so you would not have that early morning loading happening. He also did indicate that they are proposing to fence the property, as well as repave and reconfigure the parking lot. There was no one from the public that wished to speak at the public hearing, so we didn't have any feedback from any of the neighbors that was positive or negative. The commissioners recommended approval of the special use for the professional offices at 43 East Quincy with the conditions that a building permit certificate of occupancy must be obtained, a sign permit must be obtained, the handicap accessible parking space must be striped in the parking lot, and that no outdoor storage of construction materials shall be permitted. You have a copy of the ordinance before you, as well as the findings of fact, and I also included a link to the discussion in your agenda history, so hopefully you're able to view that before the meeting.
So I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve the special use.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ballerine. Second by Ms. Collins. Any discussion among the trustees? Mr. Ball?
I had one question that from the planning commission meeting, and then one that just came up tonight in Mrs. App's presentation. You mentioned that they would load trucks in the morning or the night before or something?
He had mentioned at the public hearing that if there was any loading that needed to be done, it's typically done the night before. So if any of the equipment needs to be delivered to a site, it's taken care of.
So I didn't catch that at the public hearing. So that means they are storing materials there?
I'll let the petitioner answer, but he had indicated that it would be tools primarily.
Mr. Sinovic?
Primarily what will happen is if they are loading, it's mostly tools that are going out the day before. Mostly hand tools, nothing really big. However, sometimes we do get deliveries, so let's say some cabinetry or something that'll be dropped at our main corporate office and then picked up that night or say actually afternoon before. That's about the only loadout we would actually be doing. We're not loading rebar, we're not loading steel or anything like that. It's mostly just stuff we can carry by hand.
Anything else?
The other question I had was related to, and this I did catch this at the Planning Commission hearing, that you would be storing a Bobcat outside?
The question at the hearing was, am I going to be bringing heavy equipment in? And my response to that was, we do not use heavy equipment at our corporate office, nor do we store it. Anything like that would be kept at an off-site location, somewhere in the South Loop actually. The most we would ever have would be a Bobcat maybe in the area. That might be for snow removal in the winter, or it might just be something that we're keeping there because we're using it in the local area and it's safer than keeping it on a job site. But we would keep that behind the building. That'd only be occasional use. A Bobcat, again, is just a little bit bigger than an SUV, and it is muffled, and we wouldn't be running it at 6 o'clock in the morning or anything. It would just be there for a short period of time.
Anything else?
No more questions.
Discussion? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Supervisor.
Yeah, I follow up a discussion. I mean, I'm very glad that the property owner has a potential tenant. It sounds like it's more or less a good tenant for the location. But based on what I'm hearing, this is not an office use. It's a light industrial use. And if we're okay with that, then fine. But they're going to be loading, maybe not all the time, maybe not a whole lot, but you're going to be loading trucks for going to job sites, and occasionally there'll be a piece of equipment on the property. So I just want to, it concerns me a little bit, but I'll listen to see what others have to say about it.
I don't really see this as light industrial. I don't see it any different than, for example, Riverside Foods, which would have deliveries made or things sent out. As he said it before, snow removal, that type of thing. I don't see this as.
Or Riverside Plum,
Right.
loading their merchant, their stuff in the morning. I don't see any difference. And we have noise regulations. If they're out there throwing stuff around or got a bobcat running, we have regulations. We have noise regulations in place that the residents can turn to.
The property doesn't have any roll-up doors or anything, does it? It's all office?
It has one overhead door.
It does have an overhead
Sort
door?
of back, yes. But we're at a corporate office. I mean, this is my corporate center. It's mostly project managers who all sit at desks and accountants, and they're basically pushing paper all day. Our version of tools is someplace you keep small tools, hand drills, things like that, we pick up and collect. So.
Anything else?
I would like to make a motion to amend the motion to prohibit the outside storage of construction equipment.
Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of second. Anything else? Please call the roll.
Well, actually, no. I'd like to make a motion to prohibit construction equipment aside from a bobcat.
Like the heavy equipment that was discussed at the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Well, I think the petitioner represented that there'd never be anything more than one bobcat there, so I don't see why we shouldn't make that a condition.
Is there a second?
Well, if he has, I'm just double checking with him, because if he has trucks that are owned by the business, like Riverside Foods has their vans or anything like that, is that something that you are?
Well, I wouldn't consider that construction equipment.
Okay,
I guess that's a good question, how do you
just to
define
clarify
construction
with,
equipment?
you know, just make it clear what we're
Is there a second?
prohibiting.
You know,
Wait, that we have, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Now,
I'd ask the petitioner to speak to that.
Mr. Sanders, could you address this?
My concern with that ruling that you're gonna, attachment you're gonna be putting to this is that you aren't clearly defining what construction equipment is. That you are allowing, in general, let's say like a pickup truck, a 1-ton dump truck, because that's considered a light-duty truck. But does that eliminate bringing in a lull for a night that we're gonna lift something with in the next morning or something? I mean, the range of equipment is very vague. And you have to be a little more specific, I believe, if that's what you can restrict it to. Heavy equipment is tractor equipment, something over a certain tonnage maybe, something that's that has to be hauled over the road or trailered in. I mean, I think that's a better rule to restrict me from, which I can abide by. But I think something that could be brought in by a small trailer, off of a small pickup, or off of a, let's say, 2,500-pound trailer, which would be a light-duty piece of equipment. I mean, there are occasionally times we have stuff that has to be brought around. And it's just like a once in a great while, but it is occasional. So I kind of find that's a very hard thing for me to accept that I can't just bring it in. And I think the example, like the food store and other stuff like that, even the plumbers, they do keep equipment. They keep backhoes behind their offices sometimes. And a backhoe is bigger than a bobcat. So I would just like that defined a lot better.
Mr. Pat, what is your concern?
Well, my concern with it, if there is heavy equipment coming in and out of the property, that's not in the character of the neighborhood.
we don't allow semi-trucks on our street. So you couldn't bring in, anything really big, because you couldn't turn a 53-foot truck into that spot to park it. I mean, the only thing you can actually put in there is something that is towed by an F-350 or something like that. You really can't. We already have rules about what we can and what we don't allow on our village streets. So I just, again, I don't think he can get around those. I think we have those covered. You can't carry a 53-foot semi down our streets.
No, I understand that, but there's plenty of equipment that wouldn't need to be, trailered in. And my concern is there was a public hearing at which petitioner represented that at most there'd be one bobcat there. So that was probably the expectation of the community. That's my concern.
Sir, please.
Yes, there was a comment about Bobcat, but that was based upon the statement that was made before that about heavy equipment such as like dozers and track equipment, or basically trucked-in equipment, something that would have to get an IDOT permit to be brought in here and have a special permit and special roadway use. A Bobcat is a generic term for a small construction piece.
Sure.
A mason's lull, a small little fork truck. There's not much bigger than a Bobcat. It's a Bobcat with forks on it. Those are kind of interchangeable into our small areas. We're not planning on storing, making it it's not gonna become a rental yard for construction equipment. I already have 7 employees. I'll probably have 7 guys that are actually in the office all the time. I got 2 more starting up. I'll have 2 more starting up soon after that probably. We're gonna need our parking for most of my space for all of that. I really don't have space to have equipment. If that's what I wanted, I would have stayed in Forest Park and found one of the industrial buildings. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted something to make a corporate office close to the train station so my people can bring in other people and just basically have meetings and things like that and just push paper. That's all they're really gonna be doing out of that office area. So I hope that explains some of your concerns.
What was the wording that you said that would be considered, that you would consider heavy equipment, that you would consider reasonable?
Machinery that doesn't have to be trailered, special permit trailer, or IDOT trailered in, or special use permits, or roadway permits, anything excludes that. Because that does include the bigger pieces of equipment. I mean, I'm not going to bring a bulldozer. I'm not going to bring an excavator.
So that would exclude a bulldozer?
Yes. And that was the actual word that was used during the last hearing, was a bulldozer.
Could he actually bring that into our town legally on our streets anyway? That's my question. I mean, and physically, could he actually drive it down Quincy and back it into that spot? I mean,
I mean, there's overweight truck restrictions, but there's also exceptions for when you're going to and from job sites and things like that. So I haven't looked at that specific issue. I mean, as a regular matter, of course, probably not.
I mean, if he's telling us he's going to do it, and then we approve it, then we're giving it tacit approval for him to do it.
to do what?
To bring in equipment on trailers, right?
No,
He said
I said exclude. I said excluding equipment that had to have an IDOT or a roadway permit.
Right, he's
which is
saying
the larger pieces of equipment.
And he's saying that he would be okay with that type of restriction, which he thinks defines heavy equipment. So is that okay?
It helps, yeah.
If for a normal trailer for a construction, like a Bobcat or even a small forklift or something like that, all I need is an F-250 or something like that. Even an F-150 can carry it. I just need a nice long, 20-foot long trailer and the licenses that are supposed to be on there, and it's like driving any other vehicle down the roadway. I can bring that in. That's light duty. I'm talking about the next level where I actually have to go and receive a permit for Illinois Department of Transportation with special use over roadways because of weight limits, and they basically just want to get their taxes, but yeah. And really, Riverside is not the way to come through. Too many turns. Those big rigs don't like this town, as we already know.
I mean, my perspective would be, Mr. Cenobitis is a resident in Riverside. He's told us that this is primarily a corporate office, that this would be an occasional use. He understands, I think, the concerns. It seems to me we're nitpicking on something, when we're creating an issue that we don't even know is going to happen. If there became an issue there because of the kind of concerns you raise, like Mr. Ballery says, we have things on the books that we could use to curtail that. But I would be loath to a new business opening a corporate office that the first thing we do is start layering on restrictions. And it's across the street from a body shop. It's down the street from a garage. I mean, it is not, what he's describing, it seems to me, is completely in character with that area. That's where I would come down.
One more question is I should know this from the ordinance, but is it limited to this petitioner, the special use approval?
I'm sorry?
No, we didn't specifically limit it.
but you can if you like.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that question.
The question was, is the special use approval limited to this petition or this business? Or is it run with the land where any construction, office, business could occupy it?
Right, so typically a special use will continue, so it's approved for office use, you could continue the special use, a different office use could replace him unless we specifically limited the approval to him.
Well, we have office use now, so why are we talking about this?
You know,
Zach?
The office use at that particular unit has been discontinued for a couple of years now, so the special use, since it was a previously non-conforming use in there, its grandfathering kind of expired when it had been vacant for more than a year.
Thank you.
Okay, so on the floor is the motion to amend the ordinance to put a restriction. Do you want to try to give some wording?
Yeah, maybe I would like to limit parking on site to limited to light duty equipment.
Is
Can
that
I, just for a point of order, I made a motion to accept this thing in the first place,
right?
and it was seconded.
Right. And now he made a motion to amend.
Which takes precedence,
So the
so we have to
amendment
deal with
takes
the
precedence.
motion to amend before we get back to the main motion.
That's why this is a special meeting.
Is light duty equipment, is that sufficiently specific?
Light duty construction equipment.
Does that give you
Is
enough?
that acceptable? Okay. All right, any other debate on the motion to amend? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll on the motion to amend.
Trustee Valerie.
No.
Trustee Collins.
No.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Sedovey.
Aye.
So we have a tie, and the president's entitled to vote.
No.
No.
So now we're back to the main motion, which is a motion to approve the special use. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Trustee Valerie.
Aye.
Trustee Collins.
Aye.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Sedovey.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sanvitas. Welcome.
Welcome.
So now we'll go back to our regular order of business. First up is a resolution supporting the Village of Riverside's Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program, ITEP, grant application for streetscape beautification along East Quincy Street in the Village of Riverside's Central Business District for an amount not to exceed $250,000. Are you?
I'm
And this is
going to.
Manager Francis.
Yes. I'll provide you a brief overview, and then Director Apt will also provide some additional information related to this. The ITEP grant application is due June 17th. Included in the agenda packet is an illustration of what preliminary design would be addressing streetscaping down Quincy and then additionally on Long Common and also by the train station as well. If the board recalls, we did submit an ITEP application in 2013, both for Burlington and for the train station. We received both grant funding that we requested, and Burlington is taking place right now, the streetscape project. We are asking to submit an application, asking for the village to approve this resolution supporting the application for an amount not to exceed $250,000. It is slightly more than the 20% that is required as part of the 80-20 split for the grant funding. However, we're hoping that by having slightly more amount that it will increase our likelihood of receiving the grant funding for this particular application. And then Director App, if you could provide some additional information.
Yes, we're very excited for this opportunity to continue implementing portions of our CMAP plan. This project will continue to utilize the same materials as we began with the streetscape project on Burlington. This, as you can see from the plan, it does incorporate some elements from the CMAP recommendations, primarily around the train station area. One of their major recommendations was to reconfigure that area to provide for a better pedestrian crossing. This also provides some additional green space in the downtown, which was also one of the things that was recommended in the CMAP plan. So we're excited for this opportunity to extend more of our streetscape improvements and be able to get this done here in the next couple of years.
Channel 6, is this on right now where folks at home can see this? Do you know? It is? Okay. One item that I just would like to particularly draw the board's attention to, the folks who can see this at home, is the extension of the pavers and the green space alongside the train station. Trustee Sedeby just the other day had drawn our attention to a safety issue with regard to the crosswalk that's immediately on the other side of the track. A lot of times when people come over the track, if somebody's in that crosswalk, they end up getting stuck on the track. This would allow us to extend that turning radius. Not only would it be beautiful, just the actual design of it itself, but also it would bring cars across and then turn much farther away from the track. So that would be a major, and I believe just before the meeting, Manager Francis told me that Metra at one point in their audit had actually suggested that area should be redesigned because of the safety issues there. So we're hoping that will play in as well with our opportunity to be awarded the grant, and it would be a completion of what we've begun, and people can see the dramatic difference it's making over on Burlington already. But I just wanted to specifically point out that safety benefit of the plan in addition to the aesthetic aspects of it. So with that, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sedeby. Second by Ms. Collins. Any further discussion?
I
Hearing
think
none,
maybe one point of clarification, even though we have a preliminary plan and estimate of cost, they are just preliminary, correct? I mean, this is nothing we're bound to and obviously could change.
Yes.
Right.
But we're limited to no more than $250,000 originally. Okay, just want to make that clear.
Let's call the roll.
Trustee Valiant.
Aye.
Trustee Collins. Trustee Pollak.
Aye.
Trustee Sedeby.
Aye.
Motion carries, and just want to say publicly, this was done kind of on an expedited basis, and it was really nice work by our staff and also by Burke Engineering, who put this together in very short order for us and actually brought the opportunity to the village's attention. So, nice job.
Thank you.
Next up is a resolution adopting special event facility rental policies and procedures for the train station, scout cabin, and water tower facility.
Good evening, Board of
Salinas.
Trustees. So before the board is a resolution adopting special event facility rental policies and procedures for the train station, scout cabin, and a multi-purpose room located in the water tower facility. This was brought to the village board at the last meeting on May 19th, 2016. We did receive additional feedback from the board, and we went back and eliminated any discrepancies. We also revisited the fee schedule specifically for the train station, and hopefully with the revisions that are before you, we've addressed all the concerns that the board had at the last meeting. So included in your packet are two policies, one for the train station and another one for the scout cabin / multi-purpose room. We've also included the revised fee schedule for the train station, and if the board were to approve the the policies, we would proceed with updating the actual applications for both for the rentals of the scout cabin and the train station. Any questions on either the policy, the fee schedules, anything like that?
Okay, so before we get to questions and discussion, I'd like to have a motion and a second to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Collins. Second by Mr. Ballard. Okay. Just for the trust, I was confused. Pages 71 through 74 in your packet. That's just an old. That's the old application.
And fee structure, right? That's
yeah. So because I was a little thrown by it. So you can just kind of set those aside, and then the rest of it is the new policies and procedures. Any questions or discussion?
I think it's laid out much better than it was before, so I appreciate that.
Anything? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Trustee Valerie. Aye. Trustee Collins.
Aye.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Setterby.
Aye. Motion carries. There are no considerations this evening. There is no new business. There's no need for an executive session, so I'd ask for a motion second to adjourn.
So moved?
Motion by Mr. Setterby,
Second?
second by Mr. Pollock. Please call the roll.
Trustee Valerie.
Aye.
Trustee Collins.
Aye.
Trustee Pollock.
Aye.
Trustee Setterby.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Good night.